They were Indians. Many would call them bravehearts, heroes. They bled under a hailstorm of terrorist bullets at Taj, the Oberoi Trident on 26/11/2008. Today, some of them are paralyzed, some left with permanent injuries. And 24 hours after Kasab was hanged, they've come out to ask bitter questions of an ungrateful government.
13 महीने से 1 रुपया भी पेंशन के तौर पर नहीं मिल रहा है और मैं मेरा इलाज अपने पैसे से करा रहा हूं.
That's the bitter testimony to an ungrateful government. They fought, they bled, they took bullets, shrapnel, some lost limbs, some were paralyzed. This hero is PV Manish, an NSG commando who was shot in the head at the Oberoi Trident. Paralyzed, he was awarded the Shaurya Chakra. You see him here in a wheelchair being greeted by the Defence Minister.
You'd think the nation would be grateful for his sacrifice, but the government clearly wasn't. Manish needs Ayurvedic treatment for his knees, but the government refused to reimburse him for the treatment, citing Ayurveda as not being a reimbursable expense. It's not just this, he's been hassled on several occasions. He was not allowed to board a train once, even though he's entitled to a free rail pass.
അതേപോലെ തന്നെ സ്വാമി നിർമ്മലാനന്ദഗിരി മഹാരാജ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ഒറ്റപ്പാലുള്ള സ്വാമിജി.
The shocking irony, blatant, disturbing. And now, just 24 hours after this terrorist was hanged, his fellow commandos are demanding justice.
अब मुझे 13 महीने से 1 रुपया भी पेंशन के तौर पर नहीं मिल रहा है और मैं मेरा इलाज अपने पैसे से करा रहा हूं, क्योंकि जो ECHS कार्ड वगैरह मिलते हैं पेंशन के बाद इलाज करने के लिए, वो मुझे 1 साल बाद मिले हैं.
उन 11 लोगों में से 2 लोगों को, एक को नौकरी से निकाल दिया गया. कहा गया कि वो आगे नौकरी करने के लिए फिट नहीं है, मेडिकली अनफिट है, और वो 11 के 11 अपने हकों के लिए लड़ रहे हैं और उनको तरह तरह से परेशान किया जा रहा है.
The gentleman in question has been paid 31 lakh rupees, which is in the form of ex gratia payment by the government of Maharashtra and the government of India.
But Surinder Singh countered these charges by this bank statement. He says that no such transaction has ever taken place, and if the government is right, why don't they show him more proof?
Subedar Fayar Chand was shot in the leg during the Taj Hotel siege, but allegedly forced into retirement after being denied any honours. Commando Rajbir was injured and burnt by grenades, yet he was declared absconding and lost 9 months of pay. Sunil Jodha was shot 7 times, yet he claims he was still forced to fight for a medal. Dinesh Sahu was shot in the leg during the 26/11 operation, but not given any recognition.
Government will have to think out fast that how do they wipe off this stain on India's conscience. With Ankit Tyagi and cameraman Sanjay Khan, Atish Ras in Delhi for Headlines Today.
At a time when all of India is talking about the execution of Ajmal Kasab, comes the story of India's brave hearts being betrayed by our nation. I want to go across to Surinder Singh. He's a former NSG commando. He's joining us live on this broadcast. Thank you very much, sir. We are proud of what you did, and we hope that by the time our broadcast is over and all the coverage and the pressure that is made to bear, that government does give you what is your due. Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad is joining me on this show, understands the army and the way the government functions very well. Arjun Harkoli is the advocate of the Delhi High Court who filed a PIL in the case of another NSG commando who's paralyzed waist downwards. He's taking Ayurveda treatment and the government is refusing to pay for his Ayurveda treatment, despite the fact that former prime ministers like Atal Bihari Vajpayee and others have been sent abroad. Crores have been borne for their medical expense, and here is an NSG commando who got paralyzed because he was fighting for you and for me, and now the government doesn't want to take his pay. I want to go across first to Surinder Singh. Surinder ji, सुरिंदर जी, ये हमारे पास एक बयान आया है सरकार का, जिसमें सरकार कहती है कि उन्होंने 31 लाख रुपए आपको दिए हैं आपके इलाज के लिए। आपका कहना है कि केवल 2.5 लाख रुपए आपको मिले हैं, लेकिन सरकार का कहना है कि ये पैसा दिया गया। क्या आपको वाकई में मिला? क्योंकि आपकी प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस के बाद सरकार से एक बाकायदा स्टेटमेंट जारी हुई जो मेरे पास है, वो कहती है कि 31 लाख रुपए आपको दिए गए।
नहीं, वो पैसा मेरे को नहीं मिला है। मैंने बैंक का स्टेटमेंट भी मंगवा लिया है मेरा, और उसमें कोई पैसा आया हुआ नहीं है। जो पैसा मेरे को मिला है वो पैसा मेरा तो खुद का पैसा जमा था, 6,48,195 रुपए, जो हमारी अपनी तनख्वाह से मैंने जमा किया हुआ था। और एजीआई का जो हमारा इंश्योरेंस का पैसा कटता है, 1,13,849 रुपए वो मिला है मेरे को। और उसका 10 लाख रुपए एजीआई जो इंश्योरेंस था वो पैसा मेरे को मिला है। और 89,000 रुपए 705 रुपए मेरे पे के जो में से या मेरे छुट्टी के जो पैसा जमा था, जो एफएसए का पैसा है, वो मिला। और 10,000 रुपए मेरे को एक्सग्रेसिया मिला था। ये मिला के 18,61,749 रुपए मेरे को मिले हैं। वो पैसे मेरे अपने पैसे हैं। जो मेरे को अदर बेनिफिट मिलना था वो कोई बेनिफिट नहीं मिला है, परंतु मेरा पैसे की तरफ नहीं है। मैं पैसा 2 दिन मेरा जो भी डिले किया है, मेरा जो पैसे का है, वो जो पैसा बाहर से जो एनएसजी को पैसा डोनेशन किया गया है, वो पैसे की इंक्वायरी के लिए मैंने बात बोली है। और जो मेरे साथी जो डिसेबल हुए हैं उस ऑपरेशन में, जिन्होंने लड़ाई लड़ी है, 60 बंदे ताज होटल में डिसेबल हुए हैं, जख्मी हुए हैं, 2 नरीमन हाउस में जख्मी हुए हैं, उनको कोई भी अवार्ड नहीं दिया गया। राष्ट्रपति से किसी को भी सम्मानित नहीं करवाया गया, जबकि सभी को बहुत ज्यादा वहां पे काफी सारों को लोगों को सम्मानित करवाया गया। हमारे को अच्छा लगा, सभी को सम्मानित करवाया गया। परंतु जिन्होंने सही मायने में फेस टू एनिमी लड़ाई लड़ी है, जो बंदे गोलियां खाई है, उन बंदों को छोड़ दिया गया है। मैं उन सभी साथियों की तरफ से इस आवाज को बुलंद करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूं। और वो बंदे अभी सर्विस में हैं, उनके ऊपर बॉन्ड है, वो कुछ बोल नहीं सकते हैं, दबाव में है वहां पे। और हमने पहले भी आवाज उठाने की कोशिश की थी, जब भी हमारे को धमकाया गया, डराया गया। तो ये सम्मान की बात है। लड़ाई कोई लड़ता है, वो पैसे के लिए कोई लड़ाई नहीं लड़ता है, सभी सम्मान के लिए लड़ाई लड़ते हैं। आप लड़ाई में किसी को 2 लाख रुपए दे दो, मैं 2 लाख रुपए दे 50 लाख रुपए दे रहा हूं, आप मरने के लिए घुस जाओ, नहीं घुसेगा कोई भी। बात सम्मान की है, बात गारंटी।
I absolutely stand with what you're saying, Surinder ji. You're saying this is not about money, this is about honor. And General Shankar Prasad, one cannot but agree with him. But as we look at this broadcast, there are 2 sets of claims, and I've got Commando Surinder Singh's bank statement with me over here. Manish Tiwari, on behalf of the government, put out a statement saying that 31 lakh rupees have been given to him. He's given us his bank statement, and I'm going through this. There is no 31 lakh rupees over here. All of what we've just heard Surinder say is actually factually correct. The bank statement has some entries, and some of it actually has to do with the PF that he was talking about, and also the commutation of pension. It doesn't have the 31 lakh rupees that the government is speaking about. General Shankar Prasad, what do you make of a nation where people who stood up, took bullets in their chest, they don't get the money that is due to them? This is an absolutely atrocious situation we've got ourselves just a few days before the 26/11 anniversary.
You couldn't be more right, and you couldn't have done this program at a more appropriate time. Naik Surinder Singh's case is one case. The army consists of 1.3 million people. The kind of dispensation that the armed forces are getting from the government of India, I hate to say it this evening, is not whatever is required and what any nation would do for their armed forces. Surinder Singh has not got his dues, is one small 1.13 million divided by 1. That's the percentage of person we are highlighting today. First of all, his treatment has to be completed within the armed forces, whether he belonged to the NSG or whether he fought this action with the army. Every soldier, officer or JCO who fights is required to be provided with medical treatment if he gets wounded in war. As far as his allowances and whatever ex gratia the government gives, it is the responsibility of the unit to which he belongs to ensure that he gets that money. And overall, today, there is one like Surinder Singh we are talking about. There are a large number of people who are sacrificing their lives every single day. They are no less or no more than Surinder Singh. There are people in the NSG who suffered casualties during 26/11, each one of them, and they're pictured, they're framed in front of the nation today. That's why we can talk about them, talk about their names. What about those large number of people who are sacrificing their lives in the J&K every day? What happens to the pay and allowance of the armed forces? What happens to those people who get disabled because of war casualties and are not re-employed by paramilitary forces up to the age of 60, when every other paramilitary soldier serves till 60? Obviously, the army cannot keep disabled people to serve till 60, but certainly the government can give them re-employment in paramilitary forces, in more sedentary jobs, a guaranteed job till the age of 60. What happens to that? What happens to the non-functional allowance? What happens to the para-commando pays? What happens to the one rank, one pension? There are so many issues. I'm
Absolutely.
sorry.
And you're saying we should give them alternate employment. I would take it one step further and suggest that if somebody has been injured while fighting for our country, the nation ought to bear his medical expenses for the rest of his life, because he didn't get injured walking in a park. He got injured fighting for our nation. He took a bullet, and India then ought to take care of that person till his dying day. Arvind Kejriwal is joining us on this broadcast. Arvind, after your press conference this morning, the government has put out a statement actually denying what you're saying. I've got a statement from the Ministry of Defence. It says that 9 lakh rupees from the 100% disability allowance which he's entitled to is being processed. He's been paid 31 lakh rupees. This is a statement from the Ministry of Defence where they say that 31 lakh rupees have been given. They are questioning the facts that you put out in the public domain, Arvind.
Rahul, I just heard Surinder has already answered your question. Firstly, the facts given out by the government are completely wrong. You already have a copy of the bank statement of Surinder Singh. 31 lakh rupees were given to 11 people, not to Surinder Singh. 31 lakh divided by 11, that was the amount roughly he got 2.28 lakh rupees, and that's all that he has got because of this operation. Rest all money that he has got is his own provident fund, his own insurance money, and the government is counting all that. I mean, it's shameless on the part of the government. The minimum we expected was that the government at the end of the press conference should have said, look, we made a mistake, we are sorry, and now we will give the entire money and its benefits to him. But it is shameful that the government is trying to defend its own folly in this manner.
Stay with me, Arvind, because there is also the other case of Manish, who was paralyzed waist downwards, and he's been taking Ayurvedic treatments since the attack, and the government is not paying for that Ayurvedic treatment, despite the fact that the army has an Ayurvedic center of its own at Kannur. Despite that, they haven't been paying for his Ayurvedic treatment. We've got Arjun, who's been fighting this case. He filed a PIL. The government says that the army goes by rules, that if he were taking traditional allopathic treatment, the government would have taken care of him. But in this case, we are bound by our strictures. You know, what do you make of the response you've heard from the government?
I think the response is completely untenable. In fact, after the High Court passed an order directing the army to frame a policy for reimbursement of Ayurvedic treatment, the army, even after the High Court order, has refused to frame any such policy, claiming that the Ayurvedic system is not open to medical audit and that it is unscientific. Interestingly, this is contrary to the government's own stated position. In 2002, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare had come up with a policy on Indian national policy on alternative medicine systems, which clearly said that Ayurveda is a scientific system, it is open to medical audit, and it should be promoted and recognized for reimbursement under the central government health scheme. The stance of the army is ununderstandable. It is contrary to the government's stated policy way back in 2002. Even now, across Delhi, you will find so many advertisements urging people who have diabetes to take to Ayurvedic treatment as a cure.
No, but Shankar Prasad sir, over here you've got, the army headquarters has given us an unofficial statement. They say Ayurvedic medicine, Unani and homeopathy do not fall under the category of evidence-based medicine. There is a laid out system of gradation of an officer soldier based on medicine, medical category A or B depending on condition. The system of gradation does not conform to the Ayurvedic system but only deals with the allopathic system of medicine. Is the army being exceedingly rigid when it just draws a line and refuses to make some exceptions for an officer, for a soldier in whose case Ayurvedic treatment is showing some results?
You are absolutely correct. Let me please correct one small aspect of it. It is not the army, it is the government, it is the Ministry of Defense that needs to take a call on all of it. There is a Supreme Court ruling, can you believe it, on rank pay with effect from 86. We're talking about a High Court order. Here is a Supreme Court order. The government is not implementing it. 3 months have gone past. No action has been taken. What are we talking about? We need Arvind Kejriwal to fight for the armed forces, not for 1 or 2, 3 people. We've tried our best. All veterans have tried their best. The army chiefs have tried their best. Everyone has tried their best to get the armed forces what they rightly deserve. Now all the armed forces, including our serving officers, should go to Arvind Kejriwal because then they get prime time on television and the government hopefully will react. But nothing seems to happen. When we return our medals to the president, nothing happens. When we sign letters in our blood, nothing happens. So I'm not surprised at all on the case of 1 or 2 or 3 individuals. Today, let us talk about the armed forces. Let us talk about 1.13 million army. What is happening? Why aren't we able to handle it? We will need some more Arvind Kejriwals to please fight for us because we are unable to make any dent in the government. The government doesn't care anything about us. I mean, look at the way the veterans have been fighting. Look at the way General Raj Kadian has been going from pillar to post, fighting for each one of these little things. Nothing seems to happen. I think Arvind Kejriwal may please fight for the entire armed forces, a bigger issue. 2, 3 of these people, certainly do whatever you can. And whatever little things that you can get sorted out for them, it will be a very good idea. But can we please have someone to fight for 1.3 million people?
I hang my head in shame because this is a government that claims that it cares about the soldier who fights to defend our honor. And this is the same government where in the past, Arvind, whether it's Atal Bihari Vajpayee or VP Singh, with their entire SPG entourage, have been sent outside India for very expensive treatment. And here is a matter of only a few lakh rupees in the case of Manish, and the government doesn't want to take that bill. They're just going by procedure. Clearly, the issue that you've taken up has struck a big chord. Arvind?
Well, there's another thing, something that got buried today, which was extremely important. Surinder, when he filed an RT application and saw the files, what he found was that many ordinary citizens in this country had made donations. That money was supposed to go to these 11 NSG commandos. Not a single penny has been given to these 11 people. And he saw that there was one check of 2 lakh rupees which was there in his name. A photocopy of the check was there. Now, since yesterday, we have been trying to find out whether the check has been encashed or not. If it has actually been encashed, that means there is also corruption involved. The money that was actually meant for these people has been encashed by someone else, but we really don't know. I would really encourage Headlines Today team to please find out tomorrow from these people. I can give the phone numbers and the addresses of these people who donated for these people. And if the check has actually been encashed, then leave alone that the government has not given any benefit, someone in the government has actually siphoned off their money.
पर सुरिंदर जी, सरकार ये कहती है कि ये जो इंडिविजुअल चेक्स आप लोगों को मिले थे, ये आपको इस वजह से नहीं मिल सकते क्योंकि नियम ये कहते हैं कि किसी भी इंडिविजुअल को जो सेना में हो, उसको इस तरीके से डोनेशन कोई बाहर का आदमी नहीं कर सकता. तो इस वजह से आपको चेक्स नहीं दिए गए. आपको क्यों ये शक होता है कि शायद कोई उस पैसे को खा गया?
नहीं, उसमें जो इंडिविजुअल इन्होंने दिए हैं, रॉयल वेस्टर्न ट्रस्ट क्लब की तरफ से जो चेक आए हैं 2.5 लाख रुपए के, वो 4 बंदों को दिए हैं, बाकी 7 बंदों को नहीं दिए गए हैं. हालांकि 7 बंदे जो हैं उनकी भी ज्यादा डिसेबिलिटी थी वहां पे, और तो उन 4 के लिए तो वो जो आदेश है वो फॉलो नहीं किया गया है. और बाकी 7 के लिए वो आदेश लागू कर दिया गया है। उसके बाद में पैसे का दिखाने में, जब मैं अगर देखना चाहता हूं, मैंने पॉइंट कर दिया, मेरे को डाउट था, तो उसको दिखाने में या क्लियर बताने में क्या है। अब हमारे इलाज के लिए तो पैसा नहीं है, पर वहां पर एक एंट्री ऐसी लगी हुई है, उसमें R2 हेमराज के इलाज में उन्होंने 61,000 रुपये लगा रखे हैं, जो कि लड़ाई में उसका कोई संबंध नहीं है। किस तरह का केस है उसका कोई ब्यौरा नहीं है, कोई मेडिकल बिल वगैरह नहीं है उसके। तो ऐसी ऐसी बातें उसमें सामने आई हैं, और वो पैसा इंडिविजुअल की बात नहीं कर रहा हूं मैं, सभी के लिए उस पैसे की बात कर रहा हूं। और मैं पैसा चाहिए, पैसा नहीं चाहिए मेरे को।
Absolutely, Surinder, because over here, Arjun, I've got a comment on the PIB Twitter handle where the government is saying that on the 16th of November, through telephone, they've been announced that they've been informed that injury pension has been sanctioned and bankers have also been informed. This is a good 4 years after 26/11, when for those 4 years, for all money that's been spent, they haven't had the government helping them out. The government is now belatedly waking up because of the pressure that's being made to bear on them.
You see, Rahul, this is a very sad situation. It gives a message that the lower ranking soldier there's a government apathy towards their plight. In these are situations where the nation's heart reached to these people. The High Court was very prompt in ordering, without any delay, what I just mentioned. In such a situation, the government should have shown promptness in reaching out to these soldiers. They are real heroes.
Absolutely, because Arvind, the next time there's another 26/11 NSG commandos or anybody else brought in, will really wonder, why should we take the bullet? If this is the way Surinder and Manish are going to be treated after they've been injured or paralyzed because they went down fighting an enemy, no other person in the future will want to stand up and fight on behalf of a callous government.
Actually, Rahul, this was what yesterday when Surinder came and met us yesterday after Ajmal Kasab was hanged. And he told us his plight, and we were very scared. It was such a delicate issue. We didn't want to create an atmosphere in the country that the soldiers get disheartened. But we want, I'm very sure that the whole country is behind these soldiers. Every single citizen of this country would support people like Surinder Singh. The only thing is that our government is completely rotten, and the government is making these people run around. So I would say that when next situation is there, these people should come out, and these people should fight for the country, and the country will support them. That is the reason I wanted to make this call today, but somehow we hesitated that if the government doesn't clear their dues in the next few days, let the country come out. The country would give them much more than what their dues are from the government.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Surinder, खत्म करने से पहले मैं आपको सिर्फ एक ही आश्वासन देना चाहता हूं कि सरकार के जो झूठे दावे हैं, उनकी पोल हम खोलेंगे और लगातार उन तमाम मंत्रियों से ये सवाल पूछा जाएगा कि आखिरकार क्यों नहीं आपको आपका हक दिया गया। आपने जो किया उसके लिए देश शुक्रगुजार है, हमें सबको आप पर नाज है, और आपको आपका हक हम दिला के रहेंगे। आपने हिम्मत की इस मुद्दे को उठाने की, इस मुद्दे को उठाने की। अमूमन फौजी लोग सरकार के खिलाफ बाहर नहीं आते, ये उनकी ट्रेनिंग होती है, ये उनका डिसिप्लिन होता है। आपने हिम्मत की, ये बहुत बड़ी बात है। अब हमारी जिम्मेदारी है इसको आगे उठाना। सुरेंद्र, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका।
और मेरे सभी साथियों को सम्मानित करवाने की बात है, मेरा अकेले का नहीं है। जो 9 लोग और हैं जो सम्मानित नहीं किए गए राष्ट्रपति द्वारा, उन सभी का मुद्दा है ये। वो उठा नहीं सकते, वहां मिलिट्री में रहते हुए इनके ऊपर कुछ दबाव है, वो कह नहीं सकते किसी को। और मैं अभी बाहर होने की वजह से मैंने ये आप लोगों तक पूरे देश में ये बात पहुंचाई है। ऐसे ऐसे जो बंदे हैं जिन्होंने वो चीजें सामने लाई गई।
Arvind Kejriwal, several questions have been raised about some of the issues you've taken up, but this one has struck a chord, especially as it comes just a few days before 26/11. We can't gloat over the fact that Kasab has been executed. It's people like Manish and Surinder who ought to be given their due, otherwise nobody's going to do this in the future. Arjun, you've done a good job by taking up this PI. I hope you can get Manish's due. Hopefully this public pressure will account for something. General Shankar Prasad, and to all my guests for joining me this evening on the Centre Stage Face-Off. Thank you very much. The Halappannavars versus the Irish government. Savita Halappannavar's husband Praveen has refused to cooperate with the probe team looking into the circumstances that led to her death in Ireland. In his first television interview, Praveen said he has no faith that the probe ordered by Ireland's health services will be fair. The family is insisting on a public probe. Meanwhile, back in India, the chorus for justice for Savita is growing, with parliamentarians backing her family's demand. Ireland on its part has rejected the plea for an independent probe, saying they will be going ahead without Praveen. However, now questions are being raised by its own members of parliament over the head of the probe panel. An independent senator has called for his removal over his pro-abortion views. Sri Lankan origin Dr. Professor Sabaratnam Arukumaran from Leeds has been an advocate of making abortion a legal right for women. The question now is whether Ireland will be able to live up to its promise of providing a probe that will stand up to world scrutiny.
Well, the name Savita stands for full of sweet. She was always full of life, very outgoing, and she used to socialize with people. She made friends very quickly, and she used to never keep anything for herself. She knew what she wanted in life. Very organized, smart. Yeah, everything was going well. We had a normal dinner at home, and then we went to bed at around 10:30, I believe, and she didn't seem to be comfortable. It all started in the midnight, early morning, I suppose. I didn't check the time, but and then in the morning, when I woke up at around 7:30, she said she's getting severe back pain, and I immediately ran to the hospital, and we were told to come in.
So what happened then?
And then we were sent back, and I said, we were told that there's nothing wrong, everything is fine. It's just that it's her back pain. And we came back, had a breakfast, and Savita went to the toilet again. She went to the bathroom. I was still not finished with my breakfast. She came out, she was shocked. She had tears in her eyes, and she just she looked in shock. Basically, she came crying and said, "Look, there is something wrong. I'm not, she said, I'm not well. We need to go." Immediately, I just pulled my jacket and we rushed to the hospital again. And I was told to wait outside, the room when they were doing the checks. And then I saw the midwife nurse, going out, and she was looking for a registrar. They got the registrar in, and after a few minutes, I was called in. And when I went in, I saw Savita in tears, and she was, her heart was broken. Like I could feel there is something gone wrong. She was devastated basically. And the doctor said, "Are you okay to talk?" I said yes, and then he held my hand and said, "Look, it's a miscarriage. I'm so sorry that they won't be able to He said basically the baby won't survive. We just had time for ourselves, and we talked, and she just kept on asking, why did it happen to me? Why me? Because she was so happy. She said, why did God do this to us? What wrong did we do? Then the doctor came outside, the registrar basically, and he told me that it'll all be over in a few hours. I was concerned. I asked him specifically, what do you mean few hours? He said maybe 4 to 5 hours, so it'll all be over and then you can go home.
Yeah.
Savita was taken for a scan in the ground floor, on the wheelchair, and all the nurses there came, held her hand and said, they're so sorry, and they were very kind, they were very sympathetic. And they sympathized and took her in the scanning room. I was there. I asked if I can accompany her. They said yes. And I went in, they scanned, and the minute she saw the monitor, the fetus heartbeat, pumping, she again broke out, like she started crying. She said she can't take it. And immediately the midwife nurse switched off the monitor. Basically the fetus was still, the heart, she could see the heartbeat of the fetus, and she couldn't take it. She said, "Look, I can't take this. Please, I can't take it." She was broken. Basically, her heart was broken. She still, couldn't believe it that it has happened to her. She was in a shock, and every time they did a scan or they did a heartbeat check, her heart, basically she was in terrible pain. And then we came back to the ward, and the gynec came after some time and said, sorry, the fetus is still alive, so we can't do anything. And Savita said, no, I can't take it, please terminate, she requested. And then the gynec said, okay, check and come back, because Savita was so insisting that she wanted to go back, go home. We were, as I said, we were waiting for, the doctor to come back to us, on the termination, and we were waiting. And the doctor came, for the morning rounds at around 10:30, along with the two other junior doctors. There was the midwife nurse, and also we had a close friend of us visiting us as well in the room. And so as soon as Savita saw the doctor, she was anxious to know, what is the response or feedback. And the doctor said, unfortunately, the fetus is still alive, and it's a Catholic country, and we won't be able to terminate. That's what the doctor said. And then Savita was, insisting that she's not a Catholic, and she's not Irish either. So I imposed the law on her.
And was it after that, Praveen, she started to get very ill? When did she deteriorate and start getting ill?
It all started on Tuesday, late night, it was around 12. Her temperature was high, the BP was low, blood pressure was low. She didn't want to go through the scanning process again. They decided to do a heartbeat check this time, the portable, just listen to the heartbeat of the fetus, and they did that. Kind of a relief that she should be fine now. It'll all be over in a few hours, and we'll go home. She said, honey, it was a girl. Some nurse there had told her that it was a girl. And then she said they're going to move Savita to the HDU, the high dependency unit. I waited there for nearly half an hour and then went in. Savita saw me, and she asked me if her parents have reached home safely. I said yes, I've received a text from my brother, and that was the last word I heard with her. That was the last word. On Thursday afternoon, I managed to talk to the doctor. I was told that Savita has picked, septicemia, septic shock. I didn't know what septicemia is. I assumed that it's something to do with the shock, that she went through, when she had a miscarriage, or, when she came to know that it was a girl child. Every time I went in, they told that she's young and she will fight it, and so that's the confidence I had at the time, and I thought she'll be fine. She'll come back at least for her father, if not for me. On Saturday, things had really started getting worse. They were talking about putting her on dialysis and to see if it would improve the infection, and since Friday her body had started swelling, she was looking big, her tummy had bulged, she was, when I touched her hand, it was like rock solid. She looked really leery, sick. She was very ill. I could see that. On Saturday morning, the doctor asked me to come into his office, and he had a chat with me, saying that I think, you should tell people, all her folks and family, that she is very, very ill. At around 1 o'clock on Saturday night, midnight, the nurse came looking for me. Basically, by this time I told all my friends, and they had all, there were nearly 30 to 40 of them waiting outside with me in the ICU. And I had just gone to the chapel, on the ground floor, just to pray, that for her health, to get well soon, and to pray. And I just came up, and when I just came up, the nurse was looking for me. And when I went, there was a big team, they were trying to pump her heart. and the minute the doctor saw me, she came and held my hand and said, you know what's happening? I said yes, and she said, we are losing her, she is dying. And that's it. At 5 minutes we lost her. I have seen the way my wife Savita was treated, so I have no confidence that HSC will do justice. Basically, I don't have any confidence in HSC. We want a public inquiry because there was nothing happening for 2 weeks. I had to answer the family back home. They just kept asking, have they taken any action? Because everyone in the family were in a shock. You know, when they couldn't save the baby, why wait? It was a planned pregnancy. We were so happy. We wanted to have the baby. We kept asking, is there any way to revert back? If they could save the baby, or put a stitch on the womb, or stop the fluid leaking. We were told no, there is no way to revert back. So we were insisting or requested so many times for a termination, and we were not given.
I just hope nobody ever goes through what Praveen has been forced to endure. This probe can't be done by people who were in the hospital when Savita was dying. It has to be done by people on the outside who can look at the case dispassionately. Only then can justice be served. Let's move on to the big political story tonight. The nation couldn't escape a sense of deja vu when Parliament's winter session began today. The day was lost in din and sloganeering in strikingly similar fashion to last session. While political parties made it look like it was all done over important issues of retail, foreign direct investment, the reality, however, suggests that what transpired in Parliament was driven more by petty politics than any real concern over an important issue. Let's see how the stalemate suits everyone's interests.
Familiar scenes in a familiar setting. Even the end result was the same. Parliamentary democracy suffered another blow as netas from across political spectrum competed in shouting match.
How many? Yes. Please.
Congress resisted demand for an FDI debate with mandatory voting in a bid to take moral high ground on the matter and to prevent a show of hands that may expose chinks in UPA ranks. Politics of disruption suited BJP's cause even more. BJP wants the perception of policy paralysis to continue till 2014 polls and also wants to deflect focus from party's double standards on graft, especially Nitin Gadkari. As far as left is concerned, its FDI stand keeps swaying between poles dictated by Mamata Banerjee. Left's compulsion of competitive politics meant Mamata's no-trust motion fell through in absence of support of minimum number of MPs.
The left, I think, is in secret alliance with the government. They are not actually opposed to FDI in retail. Their only aim is to recover their very poor position in Bengal and Kerala. So they are seeking salvation from the government in their effort.
I think as far as the BJD is concerned, we are diametrically opposed to the policies of the Congress, and the kind of corruption, kind of scandals and the kind of price rise we have witnessed in the last 5 years, there is no way the BJD can support the Congress in any manner.
It's deja vu, ruckus and no work. One can expect that even this session will be full of political opportunism and bickering. It seems that our leaders have completely forgotten about the miseries and the money of taxpayers.
It is imperative that Congress explains why it doesn't end the stalemate by agreeing to a vote on FDI debate. Similarly, BJP should explain why it did not support Mamata's no-trust motion. And left should explain if it did not actually help the government by not joining hands with Mamata for small political considerations. That also brings us to the big question. Are these fights orchestrated by parties to shun accountability to Parliament? Bureau Report. Headlines today.
In the end, it turned into a no-confidence motion against Mamata Banerjee, a massive loss of face for the West Bengal Chief Minister. Joining us now is senior leader of the Trinamool Congress, Sugata Roy. Thank you very much, Mr. Roy, for joining us on Centre Stage this evening. This is a big embarrassment, sir, for the Trinamool Congress and personally for Mamata Banerjee. Except for the 4 BJD members, nobody supported your no-confidence motion. A massive loss of face for the Trinamool Congress.
I think you're making it sound too hyperbolic and dramatic. There's no loss of face. Trinamool Congress has once again shown its commitment to the people of India. When we took the decision to move the no confidence motion in our meeting on 17th November, we knew that we had only 19 members in Parliament. We had hoped that those people who were vociferous in opposing the government on corruption and on FDI in retail would come forward to support the motion. They are now offering excuses as to why they did not support the motion. I think we have made our point. Many people were saying that we won't be able to move the motion. It was because of their ignorance of the rules of Parliament. People thought that we needed 50.
What exactly is the point that Mamata Banerjee has been able to make, Mr. Roy? You know, this turned out in the end into a no-confidence motion against Mamata Banerjee. What's the point you've made?
No, you are always hyperbolic. You are always hyperbolic, exaggerating and attacking to Mamata Banerjee. It's not fair. All I wanted to say that we wanted to make a point that we are opposing the government. We wanted to show that we are wholesale against the government. We are opposing the government and wanting to go lock, stock and barrel. We have made that point. The other parties who say they are actually opposing the government did not have the gumption, the guts to stand up and support us. Maybe they thought that why would Trinamool Congress steal the thunder from us? Whoever has done whatever has lying exposed before the people of the country. No. Our no confidence motion did not have the leave of the House. That does not mean it has been rejected by the people of the country. The people of the country are actually rejecting the government for its anti-people policy.
So what's the message that's going out to our viewers tonight? The message that's going out to our viewers tonight.
It has no meaning.
The message that's going out to our viewers tonight is that Mamata Banerjee might be a competent street fighter. She's a bad political strategist. She suffered a loss of face in the presidential elections when her gamble boomeranged, and now once again with the no confidence motion, the Congress outfoxing, outmaneuvering, outthinking Mamata Banerjee.
Your choice of words are unnecessarily dramatic and, as I said, hyperbolic. Mamata Banerjee has not been outfoxed. She plays the game straight, in the straight and narrow path. She does not indulge in backroom maneuvers. She appealed to everybody openly that please support the no confidence motion if you are really opposed to the government at the center. If you are really opposed to FDI in multi-brand retail, then support our no confidence motion. She even went to the extent of saying that if the left were to move a no confidence motion, let them have the upper hand, we would support it. What else could she do? Indian politics is such that people say one thing and do another thing. There has been no loss of face. Mamata Banerjee has not been outfoxed. Mamata Banerjee has been forthright. Her party has taken a decision in Parliament. We have put it on record on the floor of the Parliament that we wanted to move a no confidence motion.
So now what happens
when
the BJP moves for a discussion on FDI? You know, will Mamata Banerjee support that? Mamata Banerjee spoke so often to Sushma Swaraj herself. Despite that, the BJP didn't come around. Why do you think the BJP betrayed you?
Who told you that the Mamata Banerjee spoke to Sushma Swaraj?
Murli Manohar Joshi made a public statement.
Wrong information. I don't. Murli Manohar Joshi, Dr. Joshi is a respected man, but age is catching up with him.
He did not have the facts correct. Mamata Banerjee did not spoke to Mrs. Sushma Swaraj.
You're accusing Dr. Joshi of telling Senai. You're accusing him of lying, misleading the public.
Again you are using hyperbolic words. Again you are using hyperbolic words. Let Dr. Joshi come to your channel and say on what basis she said that Mamata Banerjee spoke to Sushma Swaraj. Mamata Banerjee spoke to nobody. Our party leaders have spoken to people in the other parties, but Mamata Banerjee did not speak that. Dr. Joshi went to Calcutta, so he thought that he should say something to the press, and he said that. We have never said that we have spoken to.
No, so what happens now?
Mamata Banerjee has spoken to Sushma Swaraj.
When the BJP and the left want a discussion on FDI in retail under a rule that allows voting, will the Trinamool support it, or is Mamata so slighted now that she won't support this either?
No. Any vote against the government will support. It's not a question of who's moving the thing. In Parliament, we will oppose the government wholesale. But let the BJP get an agreement from the government to move Rule 184. The government is not wanting a discussion under Rule 184. Let us see what the BJP does about that. If the government does not agree, what the chance was, today's no confidence motion, when we could have spoken and voted against the government on this FDI issue. 184 is still not clear, and why should we try to add to BJP's numbers? If there is voting, ultimately we move against FDI. We'll vote.
No, but why didn't you work
nothing
in tandem with the BJP and the left in the first place? You know, Mamata Banerjee clearly wants to take an extreme position, get everybody to dance to her tunes, which is possible when, you know, the UK government is dependent on her, but not otherwise. No, but the fact, those are the facts, sir. No, hyperbole is a word that you're using again and again. I'm only laying out the facts. You know, she's David, but she thinks she's Goliath, and the Congress each time shows her place.
And using big bombastic words. If you don't like hyperbole, I say you are using bombastic words, useless, meaningless, bombastic words.
No, here's the point I'm making, sir, that Mamata Banerjee, as a David with her 19 MPs, thinks she's Goliath. And each time, Congress shows how small her party is and how few MPs she has.
Again, no, Mamata Banerjee, why? Even one member party can move a no confidence motion. It's for the other parties to decide whether they will support it or not. So there is no question of working in tandem with anybody. She gave since this is a cause which affects the people of India, she gave a general call. We had hoped that other parties who are so vociferous in their opposition to the government would come forward. They did not come forward. The people will judge them for what they are.
I have one final question for you, Sugata Rai, before I let you go. Do you think Mamata Banerjee is losing credibility? The fact that she spoke about a war cry to topple the UPA regime, in the end, it's Mamata Banerjee who's ended up being the loser, the UPA being the winner. Do you think this is impacting now her credibility at the national stage? She makes big claims which she can't deliver on.
Absent Mamata Banerjee never claimed that she would pull down the government. She said that we should pull down the government. We should throw out the government because it is adopting anti-people policies. It is for the other parties we are a party mainly restricted to West Bengal. We have enough realism to understand that by ourselves we cannot overthrow the government. But we had hoped that other people who say that they are bigger parties, they are all India parties, they would come forward, but they have shown themselves to be giants with clay feet. They did not have the gumption to stand up and support the no confidence motion, which could have brought the government down to its knees.
You've had your say. I don't want to sit in on judgment. We let our viewers decide whether Mamata has, furthered her credibility or has it been diminished. Mr. Sugata Rai, for joining us.
I do not agree with you at all.
Let our viewers decide. Let our viewers decide. It's not about agreeing with me or not.
Only honest politician.
In any democracy, it's the voter who decides. He's the one who makes the ultimate call. Thank you very much.